Hello, everyone. I'm Kyle Kramer, the CEO of the Earth and Spirit Center. I'm joined by my partner in crime, one of our senior meditation faculty, Karen Newton. Hello, Karen.
Good morning, Kyle.
Karen, we love recording these videos together. It's always a great excuse to chat. And this video, we're going to talk a bit about a really wonderful course that you've taught in various iterations over many years here at the Earth and Spirit Center, now entitled Mindfulness for Real Life.
Mhm.
So this is a course for beginners to the meditation tradition, and I want to get into with you what folks can expect out of this course. But I wonder if you, for those who may not have seen other videos we've recorded, if you want to say just a word or two about your own background as a meditation both practitioner and an instructor.
Sure. Yeah, thanks. So I started a curious journey many, many years ago in my late 20s, looking for something that would take me beyond kind of a rote, prescriptive kind of faith tradition to how do I actually experience a sense of stability and connection, with my life, frankly.
Mhm.
And it wasn't until many years later that I found the tradition that I practice and that I teach, which is various names: insight, mindfulness meditation, Vipassana tradition. And
But roughly speaking, coming from the Buddhist world, right?
yes, those are the traditions that these practices originated over 2,500 years ago.
Mhm.
And I have become certified as a mindfulness meditation teacher in a particular curriculum. And
Mhm.
I did that certification when I was the director of health promotion at University of Louisville in student health services, because I wanted to actually teach a curriculum, a secular curriculum, if you will, that would was geared specifically for that population, that age population. Good news is that curriculum, because it's from ancient practices, has transferred beautifully now in my teaching role at the Earth and Spirit Center, where people all the way from teenagers up at folks in their 80s come together in these classes, and we all study together.
Mhm.
Um, well, that's enough about my background.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, who knew that both 20 somethings and 70 somethings could equally struggle with anxiety and emotional reactivity and all of the various things that mindfulness can help mitigate. So yeah, actually, that might be a good entry point for us to talk about this class.
Mhm.
Um, what if you were to sum it up? Why should a person practice mindfulness, whether they come from a faith tradition or no faith tradition, um, or active animosity toward faith traditions, or
Uh-huh.
anything in between? Why would one want to, frankly, take the time out of their day, whether that's 5, 10, 20 minutes a day or more, or less, to be intentional about a spiritual practice like this? What's in it for them?
Life is hard.
Life is suffering, right?
Life is indeed hard. And anyone who has aspired to get to a point in life where it's bliss and happiness is going to have, I think, even more suffering.
I was going to say
Yeah.
many rude awakenings along the way.
Yes, I'm a gardener, and these days I'm reminded of a quote from Thich Nhat Hanh. It's not the wilting of flowers that causes suffering. It's the expectation that flowers not wilt.
Mm,
That
mm.
makes us sad. And I think that anyone who is paying attention to their lives and to our world and the amount of suffering, we want to come together and have a sense of shared experiences. So we're not the only ones who are suffering. And is there something that I can do to gain more stability, more clarity of thinking, more purpose, less anxiety, less reactivity, less rage, less feeling like a victim, more feeling like a participant? I mean, it could go on and on.
Yeah.
The sheer value of how do I live my life on purpose without being distracted by the reality of life.
Right.
It's
Because if you sit down in quiet, and in my experience, if you sit down in quiet for even just a few minutes, you will soon discover how noisy and chaotic the inside of your head is.
Yes.
And what I heard you just say there, Karen, correct me if I'm wrong, is that these practices, they help you kind of face that internal chatter head on and allow it to calm down, not force it to calm down. That's not the right way to think about it, but allow that to settle out such that all these benefits you've described, they accrue to yourself first and foremost. You become a more peaceful person. You can show up better in your life, which obviously is a great benefit for your own well-being. But also, I hear you say, and I would amplify, that you can show up better for others. You can have greater health in your family relationships, even your civic relationships. All these broader circles of our connection as social creatures. Is that are we on
Well,
the same page there?
absolutely, yes. And, one of the other realities that causes suffering is when we don't realize that, like, won't admit life is hard. I'm not doing anything wrong. Life is hard. And then the others, there's this reality called interbeing. We are all in this together,
Hmm.
whether we behave like it or not. And so when we have this capacity to recognize, intervene, I'm connected, then of course my stability, my purpose becomes outward facing at some point.
Yeah.
One of the things that has hooked me initially and then kept me in this form of practice is that not only do we reckon with the thoughts and feelings that occur, but we give up expecting them to stop. That's a reality that I struggled with early on, that some forms of practice can say, if you're a good meditator, your thoughts will stop. I teach and I practice that we change our relationship to those thoughts and those feelings, and therefore we have a lot more options. If I recognize a lot of the thoughts that I make up are silly stories or scary stories, then I take them less seriously and less as an imperative to respond. So this cultivation of observing those thoughts and feelings without being run by them is what the practice is by and large about early on,
Amen.
you know.
Amen. Yeah. I
And
mean, we're
so
always going
I'd
to have the
also want to
thoughts, but we don't
mention
have to
that
be jerked
people,
around by them.
yes, and many people who have had a practice in the past, they come back to kind of start with basics again.
Mhm.
Because if we've lost a sense of stability and finding ourselves stewing in anxiety, you come back to, how do I gain that sense of stability and flexibility in how I think, feel, and forget. I want that back.
Right, exactly. So, I mean, all of us, I mean, you and I both have been, longtime practitioners, and you and I both continue to need refreshing and reinvigorating. So, the course, Mindfulness for Real Life, is designed to take someone who has no experience with meditation and help them establish a practice. But as you say, it's also for folks who may need encouragement after having tried meditation for a while, and let's just be honest, sometimes backslid from their practice and
Sure.
need some encouragement and community support. So what's going to happen in these 5 weeks? I know we've talked at kind of a meta level about what mindfulness can do for folks. How will folks learn to implement mindfulness practices and hopefully be transformed by its benefits in this 5 week
Right.
course that you have?
So in Mindfulness for Real Life, which was formerly Mindfulness for Stress Resilience, it is a course that I've structured to begin with practices, and there's always explanation of why we do this, a little bit of neurobiology of, like, how does this happen, which is
Mhm.
fabulously interesting, and then we practice together, and then we talk about what we experienced in practice. So I front load this 5 session course with practices that give the most obvious benefit from the beginning. So
Mhm.
I can actually say that people will experience something from just 1 week of practice. And
Mhm.
sometimes it's better sleep. That's the most dominant thing that people notice.
You had me at hello. Sign me up.
So I also provide a couple of books to help people gain. Some people really like to read about what they're doing, so I two really, really accessible books. I provide a free app for people who want and welcome the guidance of having, like, a coach, if you will, to guide practices during the week. Lots of resources. So instruction, practice, discussing what we practiced, understanding the foundational principles of why we do it, and then we roll on out of there and practice on our own for a week and come back again. And we
Yeah.
do that 5 times. And there's a great sense of connection to the group, to the resources that go with you. And I think more personal ownership of what the practice can be, because 11 different forms of practice I teach in this 5-week course. So
Wow.
there's a lot of personalizing of what form of practice will I do today.
So folks, I mean, because there's not one size fits all for meditation. I mean, there are common practices, but some folks prefer walking meditation. Others like sitting cross-legged on a cushion. Others, contemplatively doing the dishes. So I'm so glad that you're going to offer folks a complete set of tools for them to choose from and mix and match. And one thing I want to say, having known you as an instructor all these many years, is that not only do you teach good content, it's solid, folks can rely on your expertise, but you're also really attentive to the needs of individual students. I know you to be someone who responds immediately to email and would even take phone calls and so forth. I mean, you're really invested in your students' learning. So those of you who may be contemplating taking this course, you'd be in great hands with Karen.
Mm.
This course, again, Mindfulness for Real Life for beginners or returners, is going to be held on Thursdays. There's either a morning session or an evening session, 10 a.m. or 7 p.m., starting September 12th, again, for 5 weeks. Folks can learn more on our website, earthandspiritcenter.org, at the link that accompanies this email, or wherever you get your wherever you get your meditation information. So Karen, thank you so much for doing this course for so many years, and really, even within 5 weeks, transforming the lives of so many people and helping them form the habit of mindfulness.
It's an honor, Kyle. Thank you. Thank you.